Macy, you are a very determined girl. This is Macy. This is Macy's roadmap to success. We just got trying to go for a little bit of a walk. And Macy, if she doesn't want to do something, she just shuts down. And so she tried to do that on the walk several times. Now, I'm force-free, but I do use a martingale collar. And one of the things I have had about 1,000 dogs who've done what she did. What we usually do is go to a grass section, and we keep on walking. And we end up dragging the dog a little bit. And the dogs usually bounce up after a couple of steps because they realize the humans aren't stopping. It was too much for the guardian to do, and so we pulled the plug on that. And I really want the guardian to focus. Instead of that, you're just going to have to kind of limp along with the walks as much as you can while you're doing it. I want you to really focus on stuff inside the house, because basically this is an incredibly spoiled and petulant dog that thinks the world revolves around her. If she doesn't get her way, she's like, I'm not playing. So she's the boy who says, I'm going to take my ball and go home because I didn't get picked for the game. So basically, we talked about exercise. I think she gets an appropriate amount of exercise. She's not a super high energy dog. But we talked about rules, and she really doesn't have any rules. So some of the rules we talked about: not being allowed to be within 7 feet of a human who's eating. So her human is going to eat in the kitchen. We have kind of a confined little cozy space here. And so I'd say that she's not allowed to cross the threshold into the kitchen. Now what you want to do for that is walk towards her until she's across. We'll imagine this is the boundary over there. So if you're in there, you walk towards her, and if you get to where she is and she doesn't back up, you kind of bump into her. But the idea is to kind of move with a big sudden movement, and that kind of causes the dog to back up. Now your authority goes whatever direction your belly button is pointing. So once you get her on this side of the line, you're facing this way and your butt is facing that way. You stop, you take 1 step backwards, left foot, right foot, and then you pause. If she comes forward, you rush towards her and you stop at the line. That's your way of saying, I don't want you to come in. You're probably going to have to walk back and forth several times before she realizes, oh, so every time I come in, you disagree by stepping forward, and she'll stay on this side of the line. Then you take another step backwards and pause. So left foot, right foot, pause. Left foot, right foot, pause. And you're going to do that and take big steps as you're going backwards, otherwise it'll take you forever. And anytime she crosses the line, I want you to think of this like a game of tag. Everything in here is base, anything in here is gettable. So as soon as you cross the line, you rush at her like she stole something. And if you move at her really fast, that will make her move backwards. So she's going to want to get in there because she wants some of the people food. So you keep on doing this, and you're going to back and forth until she stays back there, and then you can take your 2nd step, 3rd step, 4th step. Now, once you sit down, she's probably going to try to come in. So be ready at that point to rush towards her. And if you want to see a video of me showing you how to do this, you can just go to doggoneproblems.com and click on where it says Dog Training Tips. And on the right side of the page, or at the bottom of the page, there's a search box. You could type in kitchen. And there's a number of dogs where I've taught to stay out of the kitchen. Actually, there's one I think we just taught a couple days ago. So go to the Dog Training Tips and just go down a couple, and you'll see one where it talks about keeping the dog out of the kitchen. And just follow the same steps in there, because there's a video that explains it. We also talked about other rules. We talked about the door. And this is one that I want the guardian to start thinking about for everything. This is really like a mathematical equation. You want to go out the door, that's the summary or conclusion of the equation. If you want that, you have to do something for me first. You have to sit. So I want you to, and do this at times when, try to do it, if you're in a rush, don't do it then. Try to do it at times when you have plenty of time. So go to the door, tell her to sit 1 time. The guardian has gotten in the habit of telling her things over and over and over again. She does it whenever she feels like doing it. Well, in this case, the dog wants to go outside, you don't. So you go to the door and say sit 1 time. If she doesn't sit within 3 seconds, walk away, sit down in your bed. At that point, I would say you're not allowed in the bed because you're not cooperating. So you lose privileges and status for this. So if she gets on the bed, make her get off immediately and continue doing that and wait 1 minute. After 1 minute, go back to the door and command her only 1 time to sit. If she doesn't sit within 3 seconds this time, I walk away for 2 minutes. Go back to the bed, and she's not allowed to be on the bed. So she's like, no, I'm not doing it my way. I want to do it my way. Well, you do it your way, then you're on your own. I'm on my bed, and you lose the privilege of being on the bed if you're not going to be cooperative. I'm asking for the smallest thing you could possibly do as a dog, and sit. And if you can't be bothered to comply with a simple sit after all of the things that I do for you, you don't respect me. And so as a result, you lose or bed privileges. So you're going to keep on double length of time. First 1 minute you walk away, then 2 minutes, then 4 minutes, then 8 minutes. And eventually when you go to the door and say sit, and she sits, then you open that door as soon as possible. I would recommend you put her on a harness and have a regular 4-foot straight leash So that if you have to walk away, you don't have to take the leash off. You just drop the leash and go sit at the door, or sit on your bed. But as soon as she sits, you open that door up and right away, and you go through. Make sure you go through first. Whoever's first is in charge. So after a while, what will happen is she'll go start sitting at the door as her way of saying, "I'd like to go outside." She's a little tired. But you're not being abusive. You're not doing anything inappropriate. Sitting is a pretty small thing to do. And if you can't be bothered to sit, I can't be bothered to open that door. Eventually, she will start going to the door and sitting as her way of saying, "I'd like to go outside, please." And then when she does that, then go over, start putting her harness on, but make her sit again before you open that door. Other rules, she shouldn't be allowed in the kitchen when you're preparing food or when you're eating. Eating is an important one. She is going to protest. She likes to free feed. She eats whenever she wants, and if her guardian doesn't make the food exactly how she wants or when she wants, she's not going to eat it. So I would recommend the guardian go to just a dry kibble food and feeding twice a day. We're going to go into the kitchen. We're going to not let the dog pass the threshold like I talked about at the beginning of this video. Once I go in the kitchen, I'm going to put food in the dog's bowl. She's still not allowed to go in the kitchen. And then once I get done putting food in her bowl, I'm going to grab something that I can eat. 5 bites of a chip, cracker, celery, something crunchy preferably. I'm going to eat that in front of her, or I eat my real meal. When I get done, then I'm going to invite her over, go over and tap her bowl. And when she comes over, if she doesn't come over within 1 minute, then I pick up the bowl and dump it. She comes over and looks at it and goes, "No, this is not wet food," and walks away. As soon as she walks away, I pick it up and dump it as well. So the days of open feeding whenever you want are gone. You eat when the human wants you to eat, or you don't eat again until the next meal. I'm guessing she's going to probably go up to 2 or 3 days without eating. Don't cheat. This is who blinks first. The guardian could not handle the leash because she just would shut down. Well, she has to eat eventually. And you're not saying you can't eat. You're saying you're going to eat when I give you access to eat, and if you don't eat, the food goes away. If you're in the military, you don't get to go eat whenever you want. You eat when they tell you to. Eventually, hunger will kick in, and she will go, and when she eats, use that passive training, call it lasagna, or whatever the word is that you want to use, when she takes that first bite of food for 3 months. So, and if she goes over and sniffs her food and walks away, pick it up and dump it. But it's important you put the empty bowl back down. If you take the whole thing away, she's looked at it as taking away my food. This is really going to be an important one for you, because whoever blinks first loses. If you blink first, she wins. She's not going to listen to you on walks. She's going to continue barking. She's probably going to get kicked out of here because she thinks, if I don't like my way, I just throw a temper tantrum and I get my way. And that's really how you have to think of these sort of things. So you have to eat. I'm being nice enough to provide you food. If you can't be bothered, if you can't eat it the way I want, then the food goes away, and eventually hunger will become your ally. If she goes longer than 3 days without eating, call me. But I have never had a dog like that unless somebody in the house is cheating, and there's only 2 of you in the house, so if somebody's cheating, I know who the cheater is. So this is going to be this is going to really help her adjust her mindset, thinking that you're not here to service her, that she's your companion, not you're her servant. And that is pretty much how she sees it right now. Okay, so we also talked about adding structure. I am a big, one of my core things is something I've come up with called petting with a purpose. I didn't come up with it, it's got a bunch of different names, but I've added my own spin to it. What it is she comes up and jumps up on her human and tells her human to pet her, or give me attention. She's giving her human an order. And because she's so cute, her human reaches down and pet her. Well, that tells her that I'm in charge of my human. So when I tell the human to jump, she says, how high? So then I do what I want, not what the human wants. So in this case, I want you to start playing hard to get. Her guardian is a very pretty girl, and so I'm sure plays hard to get when she's dating at times. We're gonna do the same thing with the dog. So if she comes up and jumps up on you, instead of petting her and giving her what she wants, we're gonna tell her to sit or to lie down. Or sit or lie down. If she sits or lies down, we're gonna pet her under her chin, and we're gonna say the word sit and only the word sit. Not good sit, just sit. And then we can pet her as much or as little as we want. 1 pet to an unlimited number of pets. If she doesn't sit, then we're going to lean back and we're going to pull out her phone or watch some TV or read a magazine and show her, I got other things to do. I put you number 1 on my list. I wanted to pet you, but you can't be bothered to sit. Well, I can't be bothered to pet you either. After a while of her not getting enough pets, she's going to start thirsting for that. And she's going to start coming and she's going to be more motivated to do what you want to get what she wants. And eventually she's going to come and start sitting in front of you to prepay for attention. Now eventually you're going to have to say sit, she's not going to do it, you're going to have to stop, abstain. But after a while you're going to say sit, she sits, you pet her on the chin, say sit. After enough repetition, she's going to like, sitting in front of my human is the best way to get them to ask me to pet them. And then she'll start sitting in front of you to prepay for that sit. When she does, make sure you reach over and pet her for that as well. Now it's going to be hard because it's just the two of them in this household. There's nobody else, so you're going to have to be very diligent. If you catch yourself petting her, and when she's demanding attention, stop. Tell her to sit. If she doesn't sit, then she doesn't get any more pets. It'll take some time, but eventually you'll get in the habit of doing this. And you use that hand motion that I showed you. Cup your hand, and curl your fingers up a little bit. Go in front of her head and tilt up. She's practicing avoidance. She's like, I don't want to have anything to do with you. You don't spoil me, so I don't want to have anything to do with you. I want to be with the person who's filming me because she will spoil me. Those days are gone. And so basically you can use that hand over the head and put her in a sit. Remember, as soon as she sits, lower it, let her lick it off your hand, and then tickle her under her chin. We want her nose up in the air because a confident dog has its nose in the air. She is not only spoiled, she is insecure and has very little confidence. So we need to start petting her with a purpose. If you get in the habit of petting with a purpose, every time you pet her, she respects you more as a leader, because if she doesn't do what you want, she doesn't give anything. Number two, it boosts her confidence. If I get a job when I'm 16 and work my tail off for 3 years before I can buy a car, even if it's a piece of junk car, I'm going to wash it and wax every because I earned it. My parents didn't buy it for me. I went to private school. I saw these parents buying their car, kids BMWs and Saline Mustangs, and they were just trashing because they didn't earn them. They didn't have any respect for them. So she earns her affection. That's a wonderful way to boost her self-esteem, and all it takes is just a little bit of structure when you're petting her. It also helps her practice sitting. We're outside. She didn't want to sit. There were several times in the house she didn't want to sit. So either you sit and get the reward, or you don't sit, and you don't have to sit. That's fine. But you don't get the privilege of my reward or my attention. My reward or my attention comes with strings attached, and that means that it has to be a two-way street. This is very much a one-way street. All roads lead to Macy. And so that's why I don't think she could absolutely have separation anxiety. From what I've seen, I don't think it's separation anxiety. I disagree with you leaving me home alone. So I'm going to protest and cry and complain until I get my way. So the more that you pet with a purpose, the more you will help flip the leader-follower dynamic, and it is not hard to do. It'll be hard for you to do here because she is so cute and you want to pet her. Now, we can also use passive training, which is kind of an offshoot. It's almost like that when she prepays for it. So every time Macy comes to you, pet her and say, come. Every time she sits down, pet her and say, sit. Every time she lays down, pet her and say, crash or chill or whatever your word is. If she does go to the dog bed, call it beach. She goes to her kennel, call it Hilton or whatever you want to call it. Come up with some funny command words. Every time she takes a bite of food, we say lasagna. Every time she drinks, we say agua or whatever the word is. After a while, she'll start hearing that word in concert with when she does the action, and then it becomes a vocabulary phrase. Most dogs actually learn through gestures first, and they only learn the auditory cue later. So remember, you're going to say it twice. I would say sit as an order during the command stage. If she sits and I pet her on her chin, and I say sit a second time during the reward stage. The first one tells her what to do, the second one rewards her for doing it, and I'm saying the word in both times to put it in context. After enough repetition, she'll understand what those things mean. Now, other rules I would say she's not allowed to be on the bed unless she gets an invitation. And before she gets invited up, I would say she has to sit. And if she doesn't sit, then she does not get bed privileges. You have to start putting a line in the sand and saying, do it this way or you don't get the privilege. We're not punishing her. We're not yelling at her. Nothing abusive is happening. But she just thinks the world revolves around her. Until you change that dynamic, you're going to have all these problems continue. She could be an amazing dog. She is super cute. She's very cuddly. She's endearing in a lot of ways. But this petulant thing, I have seen this happen when people spoil their dog and gets to the point where the dog doesn't do anything. It has no reason to feel confidence. It has no self-esteem. It doesn't live life anymore. They just sit and lay in a bed waiting for other people to come and bring them food and the rest of that stuff. And that is no kind of life for a dog. She should be having a great time on walks. She should be sniffing everything. I wouldn't let her mark on walks. I would let her pee at the beginning of the walk, and if she tries to pee on other things, we're just going to keep going. If you let her pee everywhere, she's kind of claiming territory, and that is also related to her thinking that she is Miss Thing and that the world revolves around her. The video above talks about, the two videos above, one of them talks about not petting her when she's excited. The other one talks about teaching her to stay and the keys for separation anxiety. But again, the self-control for the stay will be beneficial anyways, but I don't think this is so much separation, and I could be wrong, but I really think this is more of a case of a dog that just thinks that the world revolves around her. Macy, I love you. You're a wonderful dog, but you're not going to have a great life if you don't learn to make it a two-way street so your guardian wants to do things for you. Right now, that cuteness is the only thing you got going for you, and eventually your guardian is going to be used to it, and that cuteness factor is not going to get you quite as much as you want. So let's get her on board. Well, do you have any other questions or anything else I forgot to go over? If you have any questions, please call or text me. If I don't hear from you, I'm assuming everything's going great. There are videos I can share with all sorts of different techniques and stuff that we've gone over here today and other things. I know the walking was a bit of a challenge. So when you are going the walks, at least use the stairs as that stair exercise that I talked about. So as you go down the stairs, stop 3 times, stop short, and keep it a short leash, and don't let her run ahead of you. So she has to learn, she has to watch you on the walk as opposed to just going wherever she wants to go. Well, this gorgeous fluff of fur is Macy. Yes. And this is Macy's roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog. Only sometimes you mean it.